Today we are going to check out the ASUS TUF VG279QM, which is a 280Hz IPS monitor which offers many extras over a regular high refresh rate monitor, and unlike the competing TN panels, you don't have to compromise with the quality of colors and viewing angles, so it can be a really compelling package at its very reasonable price point of $400 or 34.5 thousand Indian rupees. Hey guys, I am Siddharth and let's get started. Inside the box, you get an HDMI cable and a DisplayPort cable, the power cable and power adapter, the base of the monitor stand, a manual with some other papers, and finally the monitor itself. Installation of these ASUS monitors is very easy and you can almost do it with one hand, as you just have to put the monitor stand on its base and then tighten a single screw with hands as it has a D-ring. The monitor has a really great and balanced design because it does have gamery elements that make it look distinct, but they haven't gone very aggressive with the aesthetics, so this will blend easily in a variety of environments. I like the simple design of the stand as it doesn't take a lot of space, and with this monitor, you really have all kinds of adjustments. So you can tilt it by 33 degrees, can adjust its height by 13 centimeters, can swivel it by 90 degrees on either side, and can also pivot it by 90 degrees in both directions to use it in portrait mode. The stand also has a pass-through for cables because the input ports are at the bottom, and we have two HDMI 2.0 ports, a DisplayPort 1.2, a headphone out for audio along with a Kensington lock. The HDMI 2.0 port will limit the refresh rate to 240Hz, but that will be plenty enough for hooking this up with a console as they don't reach 240Hz anyways. The monitor is also VISA compatible, so you can also change its stand that comes pre-installed. All functions and settings on the monitor can be accessed just by using the single joystick at back, which works really well, but you also have extra buttons for quick access along with the power button at bottom. The on-screen menu is also logically laid out and all of the settings can be accessed quickly. In addition to some picture profiles that I don't use, it also offers some gaming focused features like showing different kinds of crosshairs at center, a timer which you can reposition and can use to check if your eggs have finished getting boiled, a frame rate counter with a graph, a sniper function which zooms the central area of monitor without being considered as cheating, and you also have a shadow boost feature which boosts the dark areas of your games, and this actually looks quite natural, so some of these features could be actually useful. A blue light filter to prevent eye fatigue is also present, and the monitor also has inbuilt speakers which can be useful when your other audio devices aren't working. With its 27-inch display panel having a 1080p resolution, you are definitely not going to see sharp looking text that you would see with a QHD or 4K monitor, but it is of course the refresh rate that you are buying this monitor for, and in that department it really is one of the fastest monitors at 280Hz refresh rate, which you achieve by overclocking its panel from 240Hz just so you can get the feeling of being on the PC master race. But before we move on to how awesome moving mouse on this monitor is, its IPS display actually has really good colors. We have 99% of sRGB coverage and the colors on it look really good and well saturated. And even though there are TN panels with good color coverage percentages, the content on this monitor does look better, and we also have much better viewing angles at 178 degrees as it is an IPS panel. This can also be used for some content creation if 1080p resolution is good enough for you. And the gripe that I had with high refresh rate TN panels was that while they were great for gaming, we didn't have good colors. So this monitor solves that issue, and if you feel like 1080p is too low of a resolution for a 27-inch panel, you can also go with the 25-inch version of this monitor, which will also be really great for gaming. Now TN panels do have better response times than IPS panels typically, but on this particular panel, we have really good response times which will almost let you get full benefits of its 280Hz refresh rate, which is quite impressive for an IPS panel. You will have to tweak the overdrive setting on the monitor to get the best balance of response time performance and overshoot control, and I linked to a review by Hardware Unboxed who have done really exhaustive response time testing on this monitor and found it to be very impressive. But even by testing with your eyes, you can see that the overdrive 80 setting results in a very well controlled response time on this monitor at 280Hz, but overdrive 100 setting starts introducing artifacts even if that achieves the advertised 1 millisecond gray to gray response time. By the way, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with bell icon because I'll be reviewing another 240Hz monitor with a TN panel on the channel. So the gaming experience on this monitor is of course really great. 280Hz is not that big of a jump over the more common 240Hz, but you are still getting an edge over the competition, and at its price, it can really be a great value when you consider how much the faster 360Hz IPS panel monitor costs. The VG279QM is also G-Sync compatible, so even if you don't have a GPU that can deliver a consistent 280 FPS, you won't get frame tearing, which is a very important feature to have on high refresh rate monitors. We found the performance while playing esports games to be really great, and the extraordinarily high refresh rate really makes a significant difference while gaming, as you get more information sent to your brain during those quick movements in games, and it can really help you in spotting your opponents or aiming during the quick movements. ASUS has also included their eLMB sync feature on the VG279QM, and what it basically does is that it strobes the backlight of the monitor to reduce motion blur, and this technology didn't work along with adaptive sync earlier even in ASUS's own monitors with eLMB, but now with eLMB sync we can enable it with G-Sync, which is really great. A drawback to backlight strobing techniques in monitors is that it reduces the brightness significantly, as now your backlight isn't constantly on, but since we have 400 nits of maximum brightness on this monitor, even with eLMB enabled, it is quite bright and you won't have any issues even in well-lit rooms. Backlight strobing implementations on monitors also cause some doubling of images because of strobe crosstalk, but we found that this problem is quite controlled for such a high refresh rate, and even though it is not perfect, I think that a lot of gamers will prefer the sharper frames over the blurry frames even with some crosstalk, which we didn't find to be that noticeable. We also have HDR on this monitor, but as this has a Display HDR 400 certification, we don't have any kind of local dimming on this monitor, so you will not get a great HDR experience as the contrast won't be great between the darkest and brightest parts of the scene. But that being said, the brightness and color gamut alone makes the HDR content look significantly better compared to my other monitor that doesn't have HDR. So even though its HDR experience isn't going to match the much more expensive FALD monitors like PG27UQ, it is better than having nothing. One minor thing that I didn't like was how this panel doesn't get very dim at its lowest brightness setting, but it has been a similar case with other high refresh rate monitors that I have tried. So overall, the TUF VG279QM is really one of the best IPS gaming monitors with high refresh rates. In addition to the 280Hz refresh rate that has been implemented quite well on its IPS panel, you are getting great colors for general content consumption and gaming. It has G-Sync, and eLMB sync is a really great feature to have if you like it. Display HDR 400 is not that special, but 400 nits of brightness does have nice benefits, and most features on this monitor are just really well executed, which makes it a really great choice for a dedicated gaming monitor that can do more than just gaming. And the $400 or 34.5 thousand rupees price tag is pretty reasonable for everything that you are getting. You can also check out my review of the ASUS VG278QR, which is a cheaper 165Hz monitor with a TN panel. The 25-inch version of this is also a really great alternative option, and I'll have links to these monitors in the video description if you want to buy them or check what their current price is. And that was it for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it or a thumbs down if you disliked it. Subscribe with bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
और भाई फर्क है हाँ तो वो बेवकूफ़ थोड़ी है जो